Hello and welcome to this month's episode of the VCL Vintners Whisky Investment Podcast. This month I'm joined by Tom Exton, who is better known as TGE, and he's going to be talking to us all about whisky investments and the lovely things that he likes to collect. So I'm super excited to chat more and get his insight into these areas. Tom, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
So Tom, you're better known AKA as TGE, but for those out there who haven't maybe caught your YouTube channels or anything that you've done on Instagram, can you do a little intro into what you're all about, who you are, and how you got into this space?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a YouTuber, a car collector. I predominantly am on YouTube and Instagram, and I use those social media platforms to talk about things that I enjoy collecting and involving myself in, invariably shiny and expensive things. I've been doing it for the best part of a decade now, and I have a few online businesses, so I'm basically just on the internet at any given time. So if anyone's been into fitness or automotive or watches, they probably won't have been able to avoid me over the past 10 years. At some point I might have crept in on a screen somewhere. So yeah, so living the dream really.
Fantastic. How did you get involved in this space?
Well, I set up a fitness company with my twin brother back in 2012, and we quickly kind of grew a following of young guys that like going to the gym, and I realized that they were also interested in the same things as me outside of the gym, so be it cars and watches as well, and kind of just sort of luxury lifestyle. I know that's kind of a bit of a horrendous term, but they had the same interests as I did. So I kind of grew my social media platforms, starting with the gym stuff, but actually that crossed over into a lot of, again, lifestyle. But we're very, very aligned with kind of the audience that I grew. So kind of fell into it really. I never intended to do this for a living. It was back when I was in my educational days. What I'm doing now wasn't a job. I mean, Instagram. I mean, I'm so old that social media wasn't even a thing when I was at school. We barely even had colour screens on phones. No comment. So actually, it's not something that I could have even planned to do because it wasn't around. We had the internet obviously back then, but it didn't go as far as. I mean, Facebook even came in when I think I was at university. So I've carbon dated myself there, but. Yeah, I feel very lucky to be able to do what I'm doing for a living. Yeah,
absolutely. And have you moved away slightly from the fitness more into these other arenas?
What are you trying to say? Still an avid gym goer.
Where's your focus these days?
I mean, I got a little bit bored of the gym, and I've still got the fitness company with my twin brother, and I still do train. I'm not quite as at it as I used to be. I used to do a lot of like fitness magazines and stuff, so a lot of standing around. With no shirt on. I even used to do, back in the day, you remember the blokes that used to stand outside Abercrombie?
Oh, I remember, yes. That was my lunchtime trip during uni, was to basically...
And I was the person outside that had to get photos with people, so we might have crossed paths at some point, you're really unlucky. Many, many moons ago. I just started working in banking at the time, and my weekend job was actually standing around with my t-shirt on in a shopping centre, so don't know which was worse, to be honest. Where my dignity was lost more, but so yeah, I'm less into it now. Less into it. I kind of go to keep healthy and whatever, and we've still got the business. And I have a twin brother, luckily in stock, who's in much better than shape than me, and he's flying the flag for that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're more.
I followed my paths at cars, watches, and sort of the shiny stuff.
Yeah, fair enough. And do you do both collecting and investing?
I would say they merge. So I tend to try and collect things that I enjoy because I think it's very difficult to be interested in and invest wisely in things that you're not necessarily interested in. I think it's much easier to gain a knowledge base in something that you intrinsically just enjoy and have a thirst for knowledge in anyway. So definitely cars and watches. I'm really, really, really keen on that. I've done a bit of property. I'm not that interested in property. I don't really know what I'm doing, and as a result, I've invested not hugely well, as it turns out. So yeah, I mean, I think it's important to invest in things you actually like, because then it doesn't feel like a job.
Absolutely, you're passionate about. You want to keep going and gaining more knowledge in that space in order to just for the fun of it. At the end of it. So what have been? Are you able to share a couple of your best investment stories to date, or anything you're able to tell us about?
Yeah, so I bought a car in 2020 when COVID was kicking off. I bought a Porsche Carrera GT. And for various reasons, I think those cars at that point were undervalued. And at that time, back when sort of the first lockdowns were starting to be announced, I think a lot of people with these sort of blue chip sort of alternative assets got a little bit flighty and slightly sort of sketchy. So some people started to look to dump things, and I'd been eyeing one of these cars up for years and years and years, and I could see they were doing that, and they hadn't taken off yet, but I knew I was going to miss them, and COVID came around and a deal came up on one, and I thought I either do it now or I never do it. So yeah, that car has gone up about best part of £1 million since I've had it. On paper. So I've still got it. So, you know, it's still in my overdraft, but I do have the car. So it looks great on paper. But obviously that sort of thing, it's something that I love. I get a huge amount of enjoyment about just having it. I bought it mainly because of the investment side, but also because I love it. And I don't think that those two things have to be separate. I think you can buy things that you love that you also buy to make money out of as well. I don't believe in sort of it's either an investment or it's a sort of passion. But I think if you're smart and you buy the right thing, you can buy something that ticks both those boxes. So I adore the car. I rarely drive it. It scares the life out of me. And now it's gone up so much in value. It's kind of my pension pot, if you like, on wheels as well. And it is actually almost frowned upon in the car world. You know, people saying if you buy a car for investment purposes, it's a bit sort of scummy. Like you should just buy a car because you want
to go drive it.
Drive it to Narnia every week. But realistically, I'm not wealthy enough to be able to do that, to put all the miles in it, to risk wrapping it around a tree. So yeah, I love it. I just having it in the garage, get it out once in a blue moon. But actually my business in terms of the media side of it, it relies on me having cars and making content about them. So I can I think it's best way of describing what I do is almost like having a sort of a rolling digital sort of museum slash sort of automated, not sitcom, but like a kind of a rolling kind of story with the cars. And the cars are sort of pivotal characters in what I do. So that car, recently it's had a whole load of like repairs and stuff that Porsche have recalled the car. So there's been big storyline on the car recently. Made a load of content about it, and I've not actually had to drive it, which is actually quite good for the value of it. So absolutely, and for my stress levels as well. It's a terrifying thing, absolutely terrifying.
Beautiful car though.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. I mean, my other half absolutely hates it. She calls it the bean can, which offends a lot of petrol heads out there, because you basically just sat on the floor. There's no like sound deadening in it or anything. By most metrics, it is a terrible car. It's really uncomfortable. You can't really see out of it. The sills are up here. To drive, it's a nightmare as well. The clutch is hell. The whole thing, the whole experience is wild. But I actually took it to Pets at Home on my YouTube channel. So really highbrow content. With my dog in it, which offended a load of people as well. Slobbering all over everything.
Oh, I know the feeling. The first time I drove a manual car, because I grew up in Canada, and we learned to drive automatics there.
You call it stick over there, don't you?
Yeah, we call it stick. You drive a stick, So the first time I had to learn to drive manual was on a Morgan car.
Oh wow!
Because I was working with Morgan at the time, like doing a bunch of content on the whiskey side. So the whiskey brand I had a partnership with them. Never try learning manual drive on a Morgan, because as you say, between the clutch, you can't see anything. It started to rain. The windscreen wipers are about this long. It was horrible. I was in the Lake District.
Of fire.
Never again.
That is wild.
But beautiful cars.
Did you wreck it? You write it off?
No, it was okay. It's fine. It still exists. It has been sold to a collector in Germany. They are very happy. She drives it every weekend, and I am also happy that
Relief all round.
Do not have to be in charge of it. But the history of it, the stories, going out to the factory, obviously in the Malvern Hills, absolutely stunning. So you can respect all that side of it. Don't necessarily have to enjoy the stress levels.
It's all for the aesthetics anyway. It's all for content.
Exactly. You mentioned about property, maybe some more challenging investment sides. Have you got any watch outs, woes, I guess the more tricky sides of the investment world that you faced?
Nothing specific really. I've not really made any major mistakes other than bothering with property really in the first place. It's not for me. I know some people love it. I don't know anything about renovations. I know nothing about building work. I'm not experienced on the planning side. So that's not my area of expertise. It's not my area of interest. And I think as a result, that's reflected in my investments on that front. I have a few rentals. I have an Airbnb. And it's just grief, to be honest. The tax side now is awful. Obviously, you can't offset your mortgage against tax on the full-time lets. On the Airbnb, you can. But obviously, with the changes in capital gains, even recently, it's I've not seen much capital growth on what I bought anyway, because I've bought relatively stale areas, as it turns out. But If I had my time again, would I have gone as heavy on property? No, I wouldn't have done. And I think that was as a result when I was growing up. My mum, I mean, my mum's never made any money out of property. She just doesn't know what she's doing. Bless her, like she doesn't know anything about property. My dad didn't. But the kind of, I think that generation always said, put your money in property, put your money in property.
Because it's automatically going to increase.
Their house has gone up 1,000%. Yeah. So they're instantly thinking, well, we're on paper millionaires, even though our house cost us 10p.
Yeah.
So they've kind of passed that info on to sort of my generation.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know whether that's getting passed on to the younger generation now or not. I don't think that advice probably still rings true. Yeah. So I did, and I had a batch of watches early doors that I put my money into back before watches were even seen as an alternative asset class. And if I had kept so I sold them to buy my first place, a buy to let. If I had kept those watches now, I would have been able to cash buy that house, own it outright, and still have enough for probably pay for my wedding, you know. But as it turns out, I'm sort of 10 years down the line. I've still got a massive mortgage on the thing. It's an interest-only mortgage. I owe what I did at the start. It's not gone up in value. Anything I do make, I'll be taxed a high heaven on. Whereas the watches, I wouldn't have done. So
interesting.
Yeah, retrospective-wise, I mean, I'd love to have a crystal ball and look into the future, but no more property for me, I don't think. Potentially, maybe an Airbnb or two. They seem to be relatively good. Yeah. In the Cotswolds, but I don't know. We'll see.
But it's good that you've, I guess, had that experience, and it hasn't been the be-all and end-all of
No,
your
I haven't had
experience.
to go and live in a cardboard box. Luckily, not yet. Anyway, give it a few weeks maybe. But I think, go my time again. I didn't. And it's also very cash intensive. You know, you've got so much money tied up in property. Yeah. There's so much grief the whole time with tenants. It's a nightmare. There's always a boiler or a leak or some nonsense going on. It's endless. So. No, not for me. I'm sure people would disagree.
Other people,
I've just done it really badly, I'm sure.
But that's been your experience.
It has been my experience.
But great experiences in the watches side, in cars, things like that.
Yeah.
Why do you think now is a good time to be investing in, I guess, different luxury asset classes, would you say?
I think purely sort of, they're a lot more tax efficient. You know, obviously the changes to capital gains, so with your whiskey, I think that was always in its kind of own sort of almost separate class because it's a wasting chattel, something like that. So actually you don't, I don't think there's any capital gains on whiskey. I'm not an expert in that field. But again, with watches and cars, I mean, I buy them slightly differently now. I'm kind of in the media world, and my sort of media business buys some of this stuff. I do. There is more tax liability for me on them than there would be for your standard private buyer.
But
you can go and walk into Patek and buy a watch and make 50, 100 grand on it day one if you sell it straight away, which is obviously a naughty thing to do. But there's no tax liability at all. If you buy it personally and you don't buy it through your business, then you can just make 50 grand tax free, which is wild. There's no other real thing that you can do like that. Cars, they're a bit more longer term. There's occasionally you can buy something at list price and flip it the next day, but again, there's no capital gains on private owned vehicles, bar I believe single-seater racing cars. For some reason, there is capital gains tax levied at that. Whether or not it'll change, I don't know. But I do think it's and if you're interested in those spheres as well, even if it's not the most amount of money you could have made placing that capital there, you're not going to hate your existence whilst you own the asset if you love the asset anyway and you're interested in it. And also the side that people don't talk about as well, if you collect cars, you collect watches, you collect whiskey, you collect any of these kind of luxury items, you enter a sphere of other people that are doing the same thing. And the doors that can open, I know it's not a tangible kind of gain, you can't I couldn't pinpoint what thing had opened for me. But just being around those other people and the opportunities that leads to, it's really, really, there's a side that no one really talks about.
Interesting.
And you can't obviously put a number on it, but I do think that side of things is great. And there's so many like collectors clubs now with all these things. And besides, it's just a laugh anyway. Some of these things I get to go to, it's bonkers.
Absolutely. It's I think it's an interesting time, as you say, and whether or not they cotton on to or the rules change around these spaces. But for the time being, definitely.
Yeah, hopefully no one, the powers that be. I mean, I actually had a friend of mine, he made about 20 million quid on one car.
Wow.
Tax-free.
Tax-free.
Yeah, I think he paid about
Heard it here
1.5,
first.
2 million quid. And then I think he sold it for 26, 28 mil, something like that. And he obviously spent money on it in the meantime or whatever. But I think he remortgaged his house, I think, or took a punt.
Some big risks.
Yeah,
he
took a punt. And it should be worth noting on the Porsche that I was talking about, massive risk on that, huge amount of debt on it, leveraged up to the eyeballs on that. Just massive risk, basically. And luckily it seems to have paid off on paper. But again, if the rules didn't change after my friend doing 20 mil on one car tax-free, then I don't think this conversation is going to make any difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And so moving on to whiskey, why have you decided to look into the space and investing in whiskey? What brought you into this world?
I like whiskey, basic point. I must admit I'm not as nerdy about whiskey as I am about potentially other areas of my life. I'm starting to get into it. I'm circling it, and I'm very well aware of the fact I don't need another expensive rabbit hole to go down. So I'm sort of staring into the rabbit hole. I've got a lot of friends that are super into whiskies. And we just sort of do whiskey tastings and all sorts of like whiskey related events. So I'm circling it. I like it. And I just heard that it's a great place to put some money, basically. So I thought I'd give it a go. It seems to have paid off so far. I didn't put like crazy cash in, about as liquid as a brick most of the time. So I only put a tiny bit in, but I'm up 17% year on year for the past 2 years, which 1.7, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, and you factor in the fact that it is tax efficient. It's actually, I mean, where else really can you see gains like that?
So you've thus far had a very good experience on
it's just a cask. I mean, obviously I'm not sort of drinking out of it. I don't get to see it or play with it or anything like that. So it's purely just an investment side of it. But yeah, it seems to be swimming along. Very happy.
And you enjoy whiskey separately?
Yeah. I have a
any favourites? Any that stand out for you, or is
Do
it
you know
just
what
whatever?
the awkward thing is? I actually work with some whiskey brands, like on this kind of social media side. There's a lot of kind of sponsorships flying around, so I don't want to pick any favourites.
You're not going to pick a favourite?
Yeah, they can all pay me if they like. Yeah, it's a horrible thing to say.
But the point is, you like whiskey.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And my cask is actually, I think it's predominantly Scotch. So
and
that's more kind of what I drink. So big up the Scotch.
All right, Scotch it is.
Yeah.
And what are some of the key watch-outs you'd say? So anybody interested in getting involved in investing in the luxury world, overarching luxury world here, what tips, advice would you give? I mean, you mentioned about being interested in it. Is there anything else that you would say key watch-outs, key things you've learned you want to share?
I think, look, if it's like with investing in anything, if it seems far too good to be true and someone's saying, and people are banging on it, it's a lot more saturated than it used to be. So there used to be sort of inside tracks on things, and you used to be able to kind of find, particularly I'm thinking about watches mainly, you used to be able to buy cheap on certain sort of platforms and stuff and sort of sell them elsewhere, and there was loads of margin all over the place, but it's so saturated now, and I think people are a lot more aware of whiskey. I think stick with the main names, like VCL, but I think, too good. So just follow your gut, really. Research the space as well. Don't just go barging in. Word of mouth is good. Anyone that you know in those circles that also collect, luxury things, speak to them, who they're using, what they put their money into. Don't rush in. But I think with the whiskey side of things, it's been the simplest investment I've done. My portfolio is just on the platform. It's been very hands off. I check in on it now and again, see how it's doing. And it's actually hassle-free as well, the whiskey investment side, because obviously I'm not storing it.
You don't have a repair person coming out to.
No, I know nothing about barrels or casks or anything, thank God. On the cars and watches side though, cars are the biggest hassle. And obviously you've got to keep them serviced, you've got to fire them up, you've got to MOT them, tax them, insure them, yada yada yada. They're actually grief. Obviously houses are grief, they fall apart, and people break them from within, as I've been finding out. And then watches are actually, as long as you can get a decent vault, you just chuck them all in a vault. Don't have them in your house because you'll probably end up being tied up and killed for them in this country.
Go through the roof if you,
They're not so bad. You don't really need to service them that much, so they're actually pretty easy as well. So avoid cars actually.
Avoid the main place where you.
I'm starting to go off them. I'll be honest. I am actually starting to go off them. They're driving me mad. No pun intended.
And any other areas that you're noting out there? You're keeping an eye on?
No, as I say, there's enough expensive rabbit holes at the moment. A lot of friends collect pens. I mean, I know nothing about pens. I didn't know that was a thing.
Didn't know this was a thing. No.
Apparently, pens are a massive thing. You can spend tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands on pens. Who knew? Obviously, wine is a massive
Yes.
one. But no other kind of vicious, expensive rabbit holes for now.
Sounds,
please.
yeah, close those off for the time being. And okay, just finally, you're on a desert island. Which luxury item are you going to have with you on that desert island? If you had to take one that you have right now.
I don't have my yacht anymore. No, I'm joking. I've never had a yacht. I would bring one if I did.
That'd be very logical. Good way to get off the desert island.
I don't think any of my luxury items would get me very far. I think they'll all be of no use whatsoever.
Use a watch to like start a fire with the sun.
Bear Grylls over here. I don't know. Yeah, I'd probably have to watch a YouTube tutorial how to do that first. Yeah, maybe a watch so I could exchange it for I don't know, someone
coconuts.
rescuing me or something. No idea. Or, you know, at least if I got found, I'd be flexing on people. I don't know.
There is that. There is
Sure.
that. All right, fantastic. So moving into 2025, your main focus is sticking with the asset classes you're investing in.
Yeah, I think I might chuck some more cash into whiskey.
Yeah.
It seems to have done me well. I was going to give it a couple of, I mean, I've only had the cask for a couple of years, so I thought I'd see how this goes. I think it's coming up for 2 years around now, actually, at the point we're recording this. So I had my sort of 2 year period just to have a look, see how it's done. As soon as I get a bit more cash in the bank,
Then that's what
any spare cash, I think I'll start
Yeah.
siphoning off and putting into some more whiskey. But no more cars. I've run out of space.
Run out of space. All right.
says.
That makes sense. Well, there's only so much space ever for as many cars as you
My house is turning into an NCP car park, and my other half
Okay.
is about to leave me over it.
Not.
More cars.
Okay, no more
My
cars. You
neighbours
heard it
hate
here
me.
first.
Yeah.
It is official. You've said that.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining
Thank
us on
you.
this month's podcast. It's been great to chat with you, learn a bit more about why you've gotten interested in
Appreciate
this
it.
space. And I look forward to seeing which cars you accidentally do invest in the future, even though you said you're not going to.
Yeah, I was definitely lying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.